Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Real Estate with Ryan. So excited to be with you on a Saturday, talking our favorite topic. It's real estate in East Tennessee. We love doing this show every weekend, talking about the most up-to-date information in real estate. What's going on? What's happening? Are sellers stressed? Hey, what's the interest rates? Ryan, I can't sell my home. What are we going to do? We cover that and so much more. Real Estate with Ryan. Hope you have an amazing weekend, and we'll get right into the show. But as always, before we start, we got some congrats and new listings, some closings, and we'll go over those first, get going. So we got a new listing on Chestnut Lane, 2370, Tennessee National. Make sure you check that property out. New listing on 526 Old Millsboro Highway. That property actually has two homes on it. A mother lives in one of them. They're relocating. It's a great home, actually a historic area out there. So make sure you check that property out. 248 Red Hill Road, about to hit the market next week. It's over 2 acres in Anderson County. Make sure you check that property out. 7700 Easter Way in Knoxville. Beautiful West Knoxville condo. 3-bedroom, 2-car garage. Just hit the market this weekend. Make sure you check that out. 1709 Watauga Street in Sevierville, about to hit the market next week. Make sure you check that property out. 44-5 Mockingbird Lane over there in Tennessee National. Great lot, building lot. And then, of course, 2701 Amelia Road in Knoxville coming on the market. That's supposed to be about 2 weeks, okay? So 2 weeks out in the market. And then 3830 Caitlin's Lane in Sevierville on the market. So we've been busy. Maybe you've seen some of the weather change. Maybe. The sun's coming out. It's always good to see. So we've been busy. And congrats to our great seller over on 307 McMaster's Place. Veteran. Thank him for this service. Sold really quickly in Maryville in really rapid time. So happy to be part of that success there. So there's our new listings. There's our closing. A lot going on in the real estate market. And we've got a great show for you. As always, we're talking about the hidden cost killing deals in 2026. So we're talking about what's happening on deals and why you see it on the market, when it comes off the market. What can we do about that? What are we seeing not just here in East Tennessee, but also across the country? So that being said, my timer went out here, so hopefully we'll know exactly when to get off on the second half. So we got a lot going on, but that's okay. That's okay. I got a good team here that keeps me straight. So that being said, let's talk about that. But if you're tuning in on Real Estate with Ryan, make sure you check us out every weekend. We're streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. You name it, we've got it covered. If you happen to miss an episode of Real Estate with Ryan, you can catch us right there. For a rerun, I know you got busy. Everybody's got ball games, basketball's ending up, and a lot going on. Lady ball, softball going on, men playing baseball. So a lot of things going on, along with basketball winding down. So much going on. You can check Real Estate with Ryan every Saturday, 11 o'clock on Talk Radio, 92.3 FM, AM 760. Also streaming live on their Facebook channel. Thanks for that. And then News Talk 98.7, 1 o'clock. Great partners there. You can check us out every Saturday. So there's Real Estate with Ryan. We'll get right into our show. The hidden cost of killing deals in 2026. Just had a deal. We're working on it. It was a waterfront property. Great client of ours. Great clients working on that transaction and closing. And then all of a sudden, we're really close, right? Really close. And he said, Ryan, I just really don't feel good about it. And so we were working with him on the buyer side, and I thought, if you don't feel good about it, don't do it, And he said it's one of the bigger moves he's going to make, and he wants to make sure it's right. It's out-of-state buyer, wasn't comfortable about the purchase, and that's what we're big on. I mean, it's a big decision. People realize, you may have bought and sold a lot of homes, and I've got clients that do this all the time, and think it's no big deal. But some people, this is one of the biggest moves they'll ever make. And with the market being what it is, nerves are on edge, right? Nerves are on edge. People are nervous. You just turn the news on, it's enough to be nervous. And so in today's show, we're talking about really the deals that really are not just the interest rates that's blowing up deals. People think it's price, but really, there's a lot more to it. It's contracts, insurance spikes, inspection surprises. We're coming into appraisal gaps. How about HOA fees, closing cost? All that shock in today's housing market could cost you thousands and are causing buyers to maybe possibly pump the brakes. Our great client that we're working with, I said, listen, if you don't feel good about it, I'm a big person that, if you're buying a home, not an investment, right? Not an investment. Investments are more about deals and cash flow, and there's not more of an emotional deal to it. But if you're purchasing your forever home or you're relocating your family from out the country, we're showing one on Saturday. They're coming from out of state, want to be in a certain school district. It's that feel. It's that initial feel of the property, and you got to feel good about it. And so I'm a big person where go with your gut. If it doesn't feel good, then don't do it. Usually there's something in there that's causing you to give it panic or not make the right decision. I know when me and my wife, we were looking, it was a process, right? You're looking for that forever home and you're shopping and you're comparing. And then even then, the prices were just, you have a budget. You want to stay within the budget. And they were not where we wanted to be. And so then when you're making those decisions, you always second guess yourself. We were working with family the other day. I won't mention any family's name. But they were looking at possibly moving, living there for years, 40 plus years. And it's hard to go back in the market and make that move. And I told them the same thing. I said, if you're going to make a move, make sure you feel good about it. Nobody's pushing you out. Make sure it's the right move for you. So we're talking about on some of these things that could cause pushback. Inspections are something that we're seeing consistently that are coming up. You seem like you sell a property or you're on the buyer or seller side. Everything's moving forward, and all of a sudden we do the inspections. It's so important to get with a great inspector on the front end. We give 2 or 3 references, but you can use whoever you want. But make sure that the inspectors are noting the things that are important. Now, we feel like I have so many clients that say, Ryan, we hire these inspectors, feel like they got to go through there and pick everything apart just to justify the inspection. And sometimes that is the case. There's a balance between cosmetic, normal, and then there's some defects that need to be addressed. There's nothing that can't be fixed, and some of these things are important. What are we seeing today that are coming up that are challenges? Crawl space is a big one. Moisture in the crawl space. It happens. Any crawl space, possibility there. Radon levels. Just had one that recently the radon levels were a little bit elevated. The seller said, hey, didn't bother us. We're fine with it. We don't. But it's very common today. And what we mentioned was in today's market, if there is radon, there's a simple mitigation for it. A lot of the new construction now, they have those pipes or those systems kind of built in, so it's less expensive on the front end, which is a good thing. How about HVAC? Seems like if you name it, it's on my list that I'm working on right now with multiple contracts that we're working on, trying to work these out from possibly not falling through. So I'd say roofs and HVAC, sellers, if you're thinking about buying or selling and you're going to put your property on the market, make sure that on the front end, that we check into how much life we have of the roof and our HVAC. One of the biggest things we see negotiating, which is a gray area, is let's say that we have 4 or 5 years left on the HVAC or less than that. Maybe it's at the end of its life. The roof shows maybe 2 or 3 years at best. The challenge on that, hey, it's not leaking, Ryan. It cools just fine or it heats just fine. The challenge is what? It's just a matter of time that they're going to budget in for a new HVAC. And in today's market, only who knows what that's going to be on price-wise. And so with the interest rates, the environments, the closing cost, everything that goes into that purchase, all right, home warranties, et cetera, title cost, transfer tax. Now, on top of that, we've got to put down payment. Maybe the lender wants a little more down payment. Right? Because a combination of factors. Well, now then when I move in, I've got to replace the HVAC or I got to replace the roof, and that's $30,000. So you can kind of see where buyers were a little nervous on the front end. News is not helping them. Environment's not really conducive to jump now. And then all of a sudden, well, I've got to come up with a $30,000 new roof in probably 2 years. And Ryan, my luck, as soon as I close, it happens in 6 months. So these things are coming up. foundation cracks. Foundations, the difference between foundation settlement and truly that there's foundation issues. We run into that all the time. And so these are factors that we're negotiating on top of a lot of other things that, quite honestly, once we get a deal worked out, you have to sell it again. I always tell everybody, you sell it the first time and then you have to renegotiate and sell it again. Buyers aren't waiving inspections like we saw years ago, okay? They're negotiating pretty hard. So listen, we got a second half coming up, and we'll see you right here after the second half. Real Estate with Ryan. We'll talk more.
When speed matters, every second counts.
Wow, that was fast.
In real estate, speed is an advantage.
In football, speed is crucial.
In softball, speed is game-changing.
If you want your home sold fast,
Trust Ryan Coleman and his team at Hometown Realty for fast results.
Thanks, guys. Go Big Orange.
Hometown Realty is East Tennessee's #1 real estate group and a proud sponsor of the Vols.
I'm Ryan Coleman with Hometown Realty. The real estate market's changing every day. You need to know your home's value in today's market. Text your home address to 290-2290 for an instant, no obligation home evaluation. That's 865-290-2290. And remember, when you're ready to sell, we have a guaranteed sale program to get you in your next home stress-free. Trust your hometown experts. We've helped thousands of people just like you. All right, we're back at it, second half, Real Estate with Ryan. You got to love technology. I always tell that. We're working with clients this morning, and so if I came out a little short on the show, it's like I have no clock. So anyway, we're talking about, what are we talking about, guys? There's a lot we're talking about, but we're talking about the hidden deals or the hidden things that are costing deals in 2026. What's causing deals to go on the market and then fall through? I know you've seen that, right? And so we're talking about that, and we were talking about on the segment too, we're talking about inspection. So we'll kind of get back to that. But before we get going, let's go our 60-second Vol update. A lot of news on Vol Nation, and we'll kind of start with that. All right, drum roll, please. All right, we got a lot of action. As I was telling you, basketball still in full effect. We got a men's game coming up here. Alabama, Roll Tide, not. I said my daughter really wants to go to that game. So we're playing the men. Vols, Saturday, February 28th, 6 p.m. All right, we only got 2 home games for the men. And then we're playing ladies are Vanderbilt, March 1st, 2026. So make sure you check those out. We really appreciate all your photos from all the games. So if you are listening for the first time and didn't know, Tennessee games, it's courtesy of Hometown Realty. We send 2 lucky guests, groups, tickets, all that good stuff, totally courtesy of Hometown Realty. We love seeing you guys at the games, and it's a great environment. Good opportunity to get away from work and spend a little family time. And so all you got to do, it's simple. Doesn't cost a thing, no gimmick, no nothing like that. Go to our Facebook page, like, share, and follow, and then you'll see one of these posts, and then you're entered to win. And so it's that simple. So make sure you check that out. Also, Lady Vol Nation, softball. I mean, they're on top, #1 in the country. Some really big wins. And if you've seen our posts, hopefully you've seen them on social media, we're giving away tickets to the game, softball game, and signed autographed softballs. A lot of young ladies out there, Carlin Picken fans. And so we've got limited numbers of those. A limited number, so make sure if you know somebody that's a softball player, my daughter plays softball, make sure you like, share, and follow, registered. They're pretty nice softballs, UT, and we're giving away those limited. It won't last the whole season, okay? All right, we got a home game, softball, Appalachian State. I think we're sending you to that game. It's a double hitter, I believe. I think we got Penn State. We got the first game at 3 o'clock, and then Penn State will be the second game at 5:30, and you'll get an opportunity to see both games courtesy of Hometown Realty. So a lot going on. March Madness is right around the corner, so stay focused. And before you know it, spring game on football. So a lot of things to cover with Vol Nation. As always, Hometown Realty, proud sponsor of the Vols. Go Big Orange. A lot going on. I really told Aries, I said, trying to figure this out in a short period of time is tough. But, okay, let's see. Talking about inspections, foundation, HVAC, crawl space, you name it, it's coming up on inspection Buyers are going to have some issues. They're going to have concerns. In today's market, I'm telling you, never have I seen better opportunity of having a great agent in your corner. We do a lot in sports. We do a lot with the Vols. It's teamwork. And it's great teamwork here if you're buying or selling in 2026. Great clients that are relocating from Blacksburg, Virginia. Had a conversation with them this week. Looking in West Knoxville, going to be a great opportunity, going to represent them. And they did some homework. They did a little research on who they're going to hire, and we appreciate that. And that's why we do this show every week. So it matters in 2026, the agent that you choose. It really does. Experience matters, and in these negotiations, it's key. You know, some people say, hey, if you're buying or selling, is it an opportunity? If I'm selling, I want to get a pre-inspection. I see some feedback out there about, let's get an inspection. Let's do an inspection. You don't want to do a seller inspection always unless you think there's some issues there, right? You do a whole inspection in the state of Tennessee, you're required to disclose every item on the inspection reports. And what happens is you end up not doing some of those items, and guess what? Before you know it, you get sued because you signed this disclosure statement that says, hey, we don't know of any defects. So, all you need to do is give the attorneys an opportunity to, cost you some money. So no offense, attorneys, I love you guys, but don't put yourself in a position that would be a legal jeopardy right there. So make sure that if you're going to do something or get something inspected, we isolate it. So let's say, for instance, you do this all the time, our HVAC and our roofs, very important. Let's have a professional come out. Our HVACs, let's make sure they're up to date, they're clean, serviced, right? Go ahead and have your local HVAC company come out and do I have it serviced, I changed everything, Freon, etc., new filters, and as of this date, hey, everything's looking good and great operational. Or a lot of my great sellers have a routine. Every year they come out and check and maintain that HVAC unit. So important today, right? Make sure you have those records so when we show the buyer, hey, this unit's been maintained well, it's in great shape, that prevents negotiation for HVAC units. Roof. If you're going to get a loan, minimum must have 2 years on it, all right? Must have 2 years on it. And on the front end, if it's less than that, we need to be thinking about putting a new one on before we go on the loan. Because the last thing we want to do, moving across the country, across state, even local, right? And then we've got to put a new roof on to satisfy the appraisal, which meets the bank standards. And if we were in peak season, spring and summer, that's also peak for roofers, right? And that saying, it's hard to find good contractors right now, right? You can understand. And so if you have to get a roof and you got to have it quickly because you got a closing date, that means more money that you're going to pay retail than getting the better deal. So in our suggestions, make sure that you're taking the time. Yes, if there's items to get inspection, we had one for my father-in-law. We had Quorum come out and look at a beam that had a question on it, and we had a letter of opinion wrote on it. Those are smart things to move. If you're thinking about moving, selling, and you have these questions, that's what we're here for. Call me anytime. Be glad to come out. Call me up. We'll chat about it and give you some good techniques. Let's talk about 3 appraisal gaps, price reductions. We're seeing that since 2023 peak, number of listings have increased. Appraisers are using more conservative comps. It's always when the market changes. It's like a mass email from Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, and VA. And they say, hey, the market's not as easy as we thought it was. Make sure you change your restrictions. I mean, they don't say exactly like that, right? But that wording, a great appraiser I met long ago, she said, now the things that they say in the appraiser, you can't say great schools, you can't say great, you can't say anything. You have to use politically correct words. So I don't know what that means, but changing times, it's a lot of things going on. But what that does mean for you as a seller and buyer, that they're watching the numbers more carefully. And so if the appraisal comes in low, a couple of things are going to happen. Buyers are going to bring more cash to the table, or the price is coming down, or you're going back on the market. One of the biggest things to think about in our government loans, or FHA, VA, you got to watch it. That appraisal is good for 6 months. So if the deal falls through, and let's say it appraises for $450,000, and the seller doesn't want to come down, or you can't come to an agreement, and the buyer doesn't bring more cash, The next person, FHA and VA, 450 is the sales price. So keep that in mind. I mean, that's going to be good for 6 months, okay? HOA fees, big. Selling some condos downtown, a lot of different things that we've got condos across the board. Transfers fees. People are not aware of transfer fees. If you're selling a condo, the HOA is charging a fee. Last minute surprise. $2 or $3 million building can cost some money. Capital contribution fees. Special assessment. Short-term restrictions. We're dealing with a condo in Sevierville right now. And one of the problems running into is if the HOA on any condo, the number one thing that you want to make sure if you're buying is, does it cover financing? So a lot of these condos are unique financing. You know, if there's so many owners, it's great. But if there's more investors than owners, that occupancy rate has to be a certain ratio. If not, it takes it out of traditional financing. And so you got to be very careful. And then you also have to have lenders on some of these condos. Your local lender that just does the vanilla basic stuff is not going to cover these deals. You know, they're not going to know the type of financing. I was talking to a client yesterday about it. So we bought in Destin, and we got condos in Florida. And in the condo market, you got to have the right lender in place for those specific deals. Get buyers, get HOA docs on the front end. Get them up early. Sellers, make sure we're disclosing anything that comes up that's a possibility. New construction add-ons, premiums, we're dealing with that. So many buyers are getting surprises now where upgrade package, you go in and think you're going to get a certain price, and now we've got special financing, and all of a sudden the landscaping's not improved with it. Appliances, we got to pay special. Ryan, that's only white refrigerator. We got stainless steel is going to be a different price. So we got so much going on, rate buy downs, and so much going on there. I mean, it's really like you go in and the buyer's expecting another $40,000 to $80,000. We got so much recovering, just couldn't cover everything. But I hope you've enjoyed the show, and as always, spending time with us. A lot of challenges, a lot of things going on. If we could always be of help, we're always here. You guys have an amazing weekend. Look forward to seeing you back next weekend with Real Estate with Ryan.